Work. It's that thing you're avoiding right now. From the day-to-day worries of deadlines, dud bosses and broken coffee machines, work can really take a toll on the everyday employee. But what happens when that employee isn't so everyday? What if they have a gender expression or pronouns that sit outside the typical corporate image? Would they even feel welcome at work? As a self-employed gal, I'm not too sure. So today, let's take a dive into the realities of being genderqueer at work. My name is Perrin Hastings. I'm an animator, game master, and trans feminine creature of the night. In this series, I'll be diving deep into the everyday struggles surrounding gender and biological sex to see how we define ourselves, what it's like to live life in transition, and to give you a healthy crunch of comfort in this batshit crazy world. This is the Gender Agenda. The entire time I've been working, I've played the role of the standard cis man. But now that I'm out as a queer trans woman, it's hard for me to know how future employers are going to react. So if I'm worried about the future of my career, how must it be for trans teens who are just getting theirs started? To find out, I went down to Auckland Uni's Queer Space and spoke to 4 students and trans employees in the making: B, Artie, Riley, and Courtney.
No, I'm not very optimistic. I've applied for over 300 jobs, and out of that, I've had 4 interviews.
I feel like there's like a level of delusion that I need to like get myself through this degree. Like, yes, there is a job waiting for me at the end, like, you know, because it's like, it's difficult. It's really hard.
I've sent out job applications, but also it's just like incredibly like daunting, like hearing about a declined application. Yeah. I'm honest that like I'm trans in my applications to just get that out of the way, because I feel like that kind of curates like any bad vibes with employment immediately. But it does make me worry if I'm setting myself up for like failure.
Does it feel like you have to choose between outing yourself and employment?
It does. I've not seen many examples of openly out queer people in the field that I'm trying to get into.
It's kind of a horrifying proposition, right? Like, do I, be open about myself and tell my employer and, be proud of who I am, but risk not getting a job at the end of it? Or do I choose employment?
It seems like some industries still have a lot of work to do when it comes to treating their trans employees with respect.
There is a lot of discrimination that does happen in workplaces, and I saw it when I was in school. A member of staff was accused of making me trans when I first came out because they were trans. And I don't know, where that staff member is now, but you could see that their mental health shifted.
It feels like a very systemic issue in education workplaces. The first school I worked at, I got told that I wasn't allowed to use the women's restroom. Just hit me hard for the rest of the year and really shook my confidence.
What are your expectations of an employer as far as how they should affirm you, how they should act?
I mean, my expectations aren't very high. I want them to treat me like a person. I want them to not actively discriminate against me. I want to be welcome in the environment that they create.
I'd like an employer to just be normal about it. When I was first starting my transition, I had sort of come out to my workplace and they were so weird about it. I would have loved just being treated like a normal person, It's a little bit of an uncomfortable position if you feel like, you're the only trans person that they know. I don't necessarily want to be the face of a minority. I'm just here to work.
It's great to see our youth chasing a wide variety of careers, but it's hard to ignore the discrimination they've faced so far. Or stats like how New Zealand's trans and non-binary communities are chasing jobs at twice the rate of the general population. It's 2025, so why are we still struggling to get work?
I think a lot of it has got to do with what's happening in the world, what's happening even in Aotearoa, with all the anti-trans rhetoric, transphobia, homophobia, are definitely organisations that aren't inclusive. They don't recognise the talents that we have in there.
This is Shade Young. She's the founder of GenderFirm, a trans, Māori and Pacifica-led organisation that's looking to make the employment world accessible for everyone.
GenderFirm was created based on my own lived experience. Sort of long story short, when I was going through my journey, I wanted to take some time off mahi. At the time, my manager didn't really understand what I was going through. There was someone else in the organisation and at exec level, and they said, that is fine, you have enough leave. So I went overseas, was doing what I needed to do. At that time though, I was getting emails, I was getting phone calls from my manager asking, when are you coming back? Can you come back earlier? And to make it worse was that I was threatened with a formal written warning, and it was like, okay. Obviously, I left that company.
Yes.
And then the next organisation I went and worked for, the script was flipped. So going from an organisation that I felt wasn't fully supportive to an organisation where I felt I could thrive, it just made me flourish, honestly. And we all deserve to be our authentic selves at work.
Which led Shade to establish the GenderFirm Charitable Trust.
Our main kaupapa at the moment is a database of inclusive employers who have implemented things like gender affirmation policies, leave, benefits. We're not about just ticking a box. We don't want you to just fill in our survey and you're going to be put on the database. We like to connect with the organisations, but also with any of their transgender, diverse or rainbow kaimahi. I'll reach straight out to them. I'll be like, what was your experience like? Spill the tea.
Yeah.
Thankfully, for the organisations that we currently have on the database, it's been 100% such a great place. I transitioned while I was there, no issues. And I'm like, period.
It's great to know there are companies out there who want us gender diverse divas to feel safe in the office. But that doesn't solve everything. Our community's been trained to aim low. So how do we get ourselves more comfortable with looking up? It's time to climb the rock wall of success. And what better partner to have than trans woman, plant mum, and the current head of culture, inclusion and safeguarding at NZ Rugby, Judy O'Brien.
So my role is all about making sure that rugby is welcoming and inclusive for all, that it's accessible to different parts of the community, whether that be on or off the field. A lot of organisations have released gender-affirming, transition at work guidelines. I think that that's made quite a difference, but it's still hard for people to actually make that shift in the workplace. Part of what I think limits some of us is that limiting self-belief, that we've internalised these messages that say you don't belong here.
So what got Judy past that barrier and into her amazing job now?
For me, it was so important to have legal documentation that said this is who I am. Even workplaces with the most inclusive policies, it's going to feel weird to submit documents that don't match up to who you are, right? And not know how people are going to respond to that. I've got my trans sisters who once upon a time never thought that they might work in a corporate environment, who are working in amazing roles, who got into those roles because they had the confidence and assurance after having their identity documents changed, who never felt like they wanted to put themselves through that level of scrutiny before.
Yeah.
I think it can still be quite challenging, but increasingly we're seeing people go, I am who I am and this is where I want to be. Trust that you are who you are. Take up the space that you deserve. Listen to Auntie Georgina's words and say, I'm not wrong, I belong here.
So, what have we learned? New Zealand's job market is not fun, particularly for trans and non-binary people on the hunt. But it is getting better. Thanks to the hefty efforts of community heroes, trailblazers, and some open-minded allies, this generation of genderqueer youth will be kickstarting their careers with fewer transphobic barriers than ever before. So while it isn't an even playing field just yet, there are more paths open, which will lead to more trans folks in power and even better opportunities for the future. On the next episode of The Gender Agenda.
The outcome of which is to say, when they attack us, go home. go home and wait for them to drive us out of public life, make it impossible to exist as a queer person, go home and get back into the closet.